Mikey, happy Tuesday, man.
Hell yeah. What's up, Gabe?
It's just another day in that Survivor life. Of course, every day, every Tuesday in Survivor life starts with projections, and then follows up with me and you hanging out, figuring out what's what, man. But I guess it's worth talking about this last week. It was
what a wild week.
Yeah, there wasn't too many upsets. There was just some really important ones.
Yeah, exactly. I think the big Armageddon was 2 weeks ago, right? That was when we had a major dumping. But if you look at this last week, there were two sort of polar opposites in terms of the teams that lost. I don't know if you feel the same way, but you had a safety pick, kind of like people cash exactly what I did when I selected the Bills not too long ago. Kind of cashing my check and just waving my hands and saying, okay, I'm not going to think about this week. Bills it is, and be done with it, and just assume that you're in the following week. And I think people did the same thing this past week and got boned. And then the other people were ones that were trying to get cheeky, and kind of in line with some of the picks that I made over the course of the season, where you pick the Cardinals here in in a spot where they don't have any future value. You pick. I'm trying to go back and remember.
Maybe like there was a Vegas one versus Titans, and like the Steelers versus whatever.
Yeah. So like one of these situations where you had a team that was just this team's bad, but man, are they playing a horrible team? And you think you could try to sneak one by, and that one lost too. So you had opposite ends of the spectrum getting blowed out this week.
Right. It's funny, like when you're making the pick like Buffalo, like you're thinking, they're -10. Your decision is like, am I using them? Am I going to burn them or use them later? You're not thinking like, are they going to lose?
You're not picking them and thinking I'm going to lose. You're saying, should I use my free pass this time?
Right. And that Buffalo Miami game, it's like you slid by the Buffalo versus Carolina. What was that, a month ago?
Yeah.
And they blew out Carolina, and then Miami kind of messed them up. I didn't watch the whole game, but Bills never got within a score after like halftime, maybe. I don't know.
That was over. I mean, that was almost over before it started, and it didn't even look good. Did you see Miami call a timeout like before the first play of the game or something? I wonder if like the in-game money line went from like minus 1,400 to like minus 2,800 because you got a team calling a timeout before the kickoff.
Dude, I hear that, but it's also pretty nice like power play.
I
like that. Like what if I don't know who the most like cocky coach is, and I know you can't call 2 timeouts in a row, but imagine coming out, opening the game, and just going 1, 2, 3.
I just
like deal a card.
You just don't like the way they set up for the kickoff. You weren't prepared for their lineup.
I'm saying a coach doing it as like a status play. Like, I don't need these timeouts. I'm going to burn them because I'm playing. My opposition is so weak. I don't know. We haven't seen that, but it's an angle like someone could do. I can't picture a coach who might do it. Anyway, what I was going to say was Miami beating Buffalo. Like, it seems crazy the way it played out, and it's not that hard to imagine Carolina that we thought existed a week ago, beating that Buffalo team that we saw lose to Miami. But man, it's hard to get a beat on all these teams. There's just a lot of variance, a lot of ups and downs. It's hard to know how much I hate bringing this up, but just how much the refs like moods change things. Not to like blame them, but it's just.
So you bring up a fair point. I would say maybe it's not necessarily the refs' mood about favoring one team or another. but it's more of a mood where, I don't know, they're in a penalty calling mood or not a penalty calling mood. And one team is more likely to, commit certain types of penalties over the other. So that disproportionately favors one team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's hard for me to imagine that, assuming a ref isn't like actively cheating or betting one side of the game, that they're like somehow like, emotionally involved in who wins, and they're trying to dictate the outcome of the game, unless they're outright cheating.
I think there's some weird subconscious stuff going on, man. Like where you might have Jesus Christ himself reffing the game. You can,
And he can't call it. He can't call it straight.
But then when just something happens and the crowd's yelling and the coach was just like a jerk and you're like, oh, this player did that, I'm gonna just give him a flag, and like you have half a second to think about it.
But do you think Jesus has an opinion? Like prior to the start of the game, would Jesus think like, my preference would be the Dolphins win this game?
No, but like for example, if they're reffing like the Chiefs versus like the Jets, and they don't think, oh, I'm gonna help the Chiefs. They just think in their head, oh, the Chiefs are really good and they have good things happen to them, and they're really good. So if they get some unfair stuff, I'll probably call it. And it's not like this is played out, or it's not like it's sketched out. It's just like subconscious little weird things that humans do. Humans are weird, man. Humans have a lot going on upstairs where I think it's not as just black and white as, oh, he's like trying to screw a game. It's like, no, he's just human. He's trying to do his best, but he has a bunch of weird stuff in his head.
Yeah, and also football is probably the sport that lends itself to the most subjectivity. When it comes, a holding call is like, who knows? I mean, every play you could probably argue that the dude's hands were on the outside of the shoulder or something.
Right.
I mean, I saw last night they called a holding penalty that was kind of garbage. Dude like got through, and I think offensive linemen are taught to engage to some level, in front of you, and like you can kind of sumo wrestle them a little bit and get under the shoulder pads. And I think that's what happened, and it just kind of looked like he was being held. And I don't know. Suffice to say that football lends itself to subject. If you're an umpire in baseball and you're calling balls and strikes, and you're like routinely 4 inches out of the zone calling it a strike, I mean that ain't gonna work.
And now in football, even like false starts are subjective. There's like, I feel like years ago there was an argument about what's a false start and what's not, but now, like especially on these Eagles games where they're tush pushing, people got the camera in there talking about, oh, this is a little early. The ref is giving it easy on the champs. Have you noticed?
Yeah, your sound is really poor right now.
Oh, okay. Maybe my internet just.
It's very, very choppy.
Okay, I'm guessing my internet had a little bleep out.
Now it's better. Go ahead. Start again.
Okay. I don't know what I was saying, but segue. I like how all the teams are getting their own name for the tush push. We got I think the snowplow is Buffalo, and the Chargers have the zap them up, or what is it? The bolt them, or I don't know, but it's like a rite of passage when your team finally gets a quarterback with that can squat some weight, and they start calling that play, then your team gets to name it. So
the Keister zap.
Yeah, you save that save that one for when your team gets one.
That's what I was doing last night after the game. You know what I'm saying?
Man, I couldn't watch the game last night. No Circa Survivor plays on it. And also the Packers and the Eagles. Both of them give me. I just have like bad. I don't get good vibes from either one of those teams just for my whole life from my fandom. So I just didn't want to watch. So I missed
Packers
that.
knocked me out, so I had zero interest. Also, game was like super disinteresting. There was, they would drive like 30, 40, 50, 60 yards and then turnover and then 40 yards the other way, turnover, punt, punt, punt. It was
Yes.
damn near like 0-0 at the half. But
Funny parallel to last Thursday's game, which
yeah,
also
where
was
it's
in 7.
fireworks.
And man, thinking of the ref stuff, I never make ref like considerations when I'm making Survivor picks. But I saw some post on the internet about that ref on Thursday night, and it was about him and Sean Payton, Denver coach. They have this like history, including the big no call in the playoffs, pass interference, where they changed the rule. Putting all these like dumb ref thought conspiracies in my head, and I wish my brain didn't see them. But then when the game starts and the dude is calling flags every play, it's the most penalized game ever. Had more penalties than first downs and points, and like that's not supposed to happen, right? And it felt like doom. I was dooming, man, when that ref first crossed double-digit flags, thinking that stupid internet post was right. And now, like that, it's like a little virus. Like I got it in my head. I read the internet post that predicted all the flags, and then it happened. And now I'm trying to shake it out of my system.
You got to. I mean, it's so hard for one individual to impact a football game. There's so many individual actions that take place in any given second. You can't really be thinking that a ref is impacting it that way. Like basketball is much easier. You could see how one coach getting into it with one ref and that ref having a vendetta could certainly impact the game. You can call more touch fouls, illegal defense, who knows? But like, you can't just be calling like pass interference if it's clearly not pass interference.
Yeah, but there's only you can really swing a game in one play. Whatever. I don't want to go down this hole. I feel weird. I feel like slimy just talking about refs and stuff. But hey, man, you saw those 2 baseball players got caught fixing pitches.
Is there a dumber thing that they could have done to
I mean, they're actually, yes, they could have bet the bigger markets trying to shave off the entire game. They thought they were taking some freebies, right?
Well, I wonder why. I have to imagine that if I don't really know the pitch options or what they're limited to in terms of the amounts they can bet, but I have to imagine that like hit by pitch would have been probably like 60 or 75 to 1.
Oh,
so
dude, they could really punish DraftKings. They just hit every single batter.
Just go hit by pitch, and you could just and I'm certainly no expert, but I think that in my experience, people that were fixing tennis a long time ago, they would take a dude that was a huge favorite, right? And they would obviously bet the underdog, and the favorite would be the one that was going to tank the game. And so what they would do is they would parlay it with the super heavily trafficked games. So like, Arsenal or Chelsea or Man U or something that's routinely getting, tens of millions of dollars bet on it. And so it wouldn't crop up in the filter as showing like massive exposure to the sites. And so they would allow that, those bets to go through, and you're parlaying some dude that's like plus 2,500 with, maybe it's telling if you're parlaying it with both sides of the Chelsea game. But they were doing that, and then it wouldn't show up on the exposure filter. So they would obviously let them play. I mean, you don't have to do you can do that so many times before you're going to get caught. But like, I imagined I would parlay like hit by pitch with the biggest NFL game on the board
with the Bills.
I just get bumped. I win my plus 28. I win my plus 60,000, and I lose my minus 1,800.
Yep, you got to tear up that ticket. There's a lot of interesting stuff just in general in the sports world. That angle, I guess it's not really our domain, but it's it's just a trip to think about because everyone sees all the gambling stuff going up everywhere. And I mean, I don't know if you listen to these NBA dudes talk about how they're approaching it, or you can make your friend a bag by just telling him to bet your unders on the day and stuff like that. And I guess it's kind of sad. We were kind of forced to like be smart about gambling in our like coming up, but I feel like lots of people now are just like in it and they don't kind of know what's right and wrong. Whatever.
I saw. I mean, I'm sure you've seen some of the info about the poker nonsense with like Billups or whatever, and it's just I saw, I think it was Negreanu talking about it, where he was like, these guys are so incredibly dumb because they're taking it, and in a situation where you could win like 5 hands a night, either like a key fold or key call or whatever the case is, and you're going instead of just trying to win like every single pot. And I think they were saying that they were relaying like not the individual strength of the hand. They were just relaying like you have the winning hand versus like you don't have the winning hand. Right. And so they were saying that the people that were the cheats were so dumb, they were just like getting relayed that they have the winning hand. And so the board would be like, it would be like king 5-4 or something, and then one of the pros or whatever would have 6-7, and they would go like bet shove and missing their draw. And then the dude that was an idiot that was getting the hand relayed to him would have like 9-6 or something like that, and it would be relayed to them that they have the winning hand. And so they would be like, okay, on the river the dude would shove, and they would on a bluff, and they would call with 9 high, and then if you're in the dude's seat, you're like kind of like that Garrett hand where the chick had jack high or whatever exactly the case was.
Exactly like that.
Yeah, there's no other scenario that could possibly be happening other than the fact that you're getting cheated.
Yeah, hey dude. Let's bring it in a little bit. Now
Sorry, I know we're off topic. All right, back.
Well,
reel it in.
It's understandable we get a little off topic since you busted your entry, dude. It's like a different world now. What was that like caring about NFL this week? Like, were you had the strength to turn on the TV at some point to watch NFL, despite no Survivor entry?
Yeah, I mean, everyone in the group is like bummed. I feel like everybody looked forward to voting and chopping it up and arguing and whatnot.
Dude, it's great fun to have the hope and the dream.
Yeah, and I think it was cool that we went as far as we did. I mean, that was fine. We very easily could have lost in like week 4 or week 5 or something like that. Dude, if it was just my entry, I would be out. I voted for losers twice. So
it's very, very cool that obviously you guys made like a kind of deep run, but so many people got to do it. It's such just a pleasure in life when you get to make Survivor plays in November, even October. Because compared to last year, not many people were making them in October, right? People were gone.
Yeah, this is like the contest is started. It's pretty real now, I think.
Dude, how cool! After halfway, there's 1,000 entries exactly left. Did you see that?
I did see that. I'm looking at it right now. I actually thought it was like a typo.
Right, or Gabe just typed 1,000 and left it like.
I just didn't care.
Yeah, no, trying to get the site, everything updated. For anyone listening into the Splash contest, usually that should be updated by now when this video comes out, but some data trouble this morning, and we're trying to get that right today. Hopefully, before long.
I think Splash is moving to 2 picks this week, right?
Is it week 11 or week?
I'm pretty sure week 11 is double pick.
Well, hey, that makes sense why the data might be messed up, because I bet some people have already started putting in double picks.
Yeah, I have. So I have I floated the Splash pool to the people in my poker game that were part of my group, and I said, hey, you guys should join this. It's got a pretty good contest, whatever. And so if you want to do the $150 one on your own, then you should go for it. And so there's 2 people still alive in that right now, and they were saying that they have the they were talking about the double picks, and you have to pick. We figured it out. I think it was like 26 teams, or it's 24 or 26 picks, right? Because if you're starting now, so you have 1, 2, 3. And they don't have a holiday slate.
Right.
So
So
you're
20,
1, 2, 3,
10 plus 8 plus
5,
8,
6,
right?
7, 8. So you're on 8. So you're on 16 plus whatever plus week 10. So you're 26. Yeah. So I was like, you're going to be on dogs at some point.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to be on, unless you scoop them week 14 or whatever. Yeah, that's a messed up contest, man. Those double picks, like I didn't dive in big to the double picks this year. Just been talking to people who are playing it, and hey, Mikey, the double picks, it's crazy. The strategy is so different. Like all these double pick weeks, I mean, obviously it's kind of late to be saying this, and it doesn't really even matter, right? But you want all those winning teams for the double pick time. Double picks are so much harder than one pick in the week that you have to set yourself up for it. It's not like, on Circa, you get to Thanksgiving and you might use a dog because you don't have anyone left, and you're just like, I don't care, I'll just pick the dog. But Splash, it's even worse than that because you got to pick two.
You really have to map it because, if you're taking, like, let's say you, just as an example, let's say you haven't used Patriots and Ravens, and then you just go for it this week. So you take these two teams, the essentially what amounts to like 2 minus 10 teams or whatever. If you do that, and then then you load up week 12, week 13, whatever the case, eventually you're going to find like, you're going to have to be on like, Dallas -3 and, Commanders +7 or something like that. I mean, maybe that's an extreme, but like if you aren't taking into account who you have available and trying to match it up so that you at least have favorites, you could be in some big trouble.
Yeah, and you got to think in a pool like that where everyone's trying to get those good teams to the double picks, that Carolina was like real popular last week.
100%.
And I wish I had it in. I mean, it's not loaded up the data, like I said. Hopefully, before it gets too late today, we'll have it. But
in fact, it's almost like Carolina was by far the most important pick for the splash pool, where you're going to be making double picks. You have to be able to use a team like Carolina.
Yeah.
So I would guess that a big chunk of people lost that.
Yeah, I was thinking Chicago might have been just as hot, but I don't really know. Maybe next year we can like dive into the splash stuff even more. I feel like this year it's kind of like the side what it's like circuit, not circuit. You know what I'm saying?
No, it was certainly a good pool. I mean, like that's what I was going to tell you. That the other thing that my buddy said is that they don't make it abundantly clear that you need to make 2 selections in the software. And he said the app doesn't display this. Like, it gives you the option to obviously to submit double picks, but it doesn't indicate that you have to do that. And he's like wondering if they were going to fix that. But if they don't, then there could be a situation where quite a few people make a single pick this week.
Yes, I bet that's exactly right. Like, I bet they won't fix the software in time. And also just in general, man, all these operators, whether you're Circa or Splash or Westgate or DraftKings, they all need a sweet like experience, like on Atlas. Like, why can't they just have lobbies and all this stuff, right? The Splash software, we'll see what happens between now and next year, but I think it shouldn't be as like, or I don't know what words I'm looking for. You just know if you've been playing Survivor that Atlas is how like it should be experienced, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's much more crisp,
I mean, you can't even look up like availability on Splash, right? Like
Yeah. Or like it doesn't easily display future team value or whatever.
yes. So all right, let's talk about Circa, man. One thing before we talk about this upcoming week,
Yeah.
I want to touch on the last week. You know, we had Jamie on here last week, and
Yeah. I was gonna bring that up.
he was like, "Boom, Carolina looks good to me," right?
Easy money.
But when we talked about it and about how the popularity was going to shake out, you might have said something like Carolina was going to be at least 6x Baltimore, or excuse me, Chicago.
Yeah, I distinctly remember saying that.
Which was a little crazy, but it went 28-9. Your point stands that Carolina got picked way more, and their win percentage was just only a little bit better. So, like on paper, Chicago was way better play than Carolina, and I know it looks results oriented to say that.
Yeah,
but
I know.
The EV calculator like confirms it kind of, and what was I gonna say? This worry for Chicago people was that Carolina came in low and Chicago came in high. There's some ways that it could have been maybe Chicago 18% and Carolina 21, something like that. But at this ratio, it made Chicago just like worth a bunch more money than that. It's almost $700 difference between Chicago and Carolina, and like the future effect on your entry, probably pretty marginal. So I think Chicago people, well played, and Jamie ended up getting on Chicago, so well played. I think some of these other teams, it's cool getting on like almost islands, but some of them seem kind of like a stretch to be on. And also last week had the Thursday game. Everyone knew a big chunk of the field got through. And when that happens, it kind of changes strategy a little bit. And we have another one of these weeks coming up because this week we got New England playing the Jets on Thursday. And yeah, what do you think about that, Mike?
The biggest thing about this week that other weeks with similar point spreads did not have is that the availability of all of these teams that are, big time favorites is significantly higher than other weeks. So if you compare this to 2 weeks ago, where I think the top 3 teams were like 30 in terms of their availability from what I remember. That was why the Packers jumped out to me as the best pick that week, because the low availability to me suggested that people were going to be all over the place. This week, again, we're, as we near these holiday selections, I think people are much more apt to be pocketing some of these teams. Whereas like if you were in week 5, 6, whatever, and you were like, and you had a, compulsion to use the Ravens, I think you would be more likely to go with it because you didn't see yourself getting to the holiday slate anyway. But now you're like right there. So I would suspect that Baltimore being 71% is going to remain damn near 71%.
Hey, I hear that. There's a, or just the caveats kind of jumping in my head. I don't know if you had another point, Mikey, but I'm just gonna.
Well, the other thing is that New England is like, light years ahead of all the other options, and they're 51%. So like in this similar situation, the other teams were like, I think the similar situation, they were like 30%. So here, I think you're going to see quite a few entries on New England this week, and I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing.
Yes. Okay. Going in reverse on all that. Let's talk about maybe Baltimore first, because they're the kind of interesting one. Most entries have them. They are big favorites, but like you said, they're Thanksgiving, and
But not only that, even next week, they're like 200-point favorites or something.
yes. So this Baltimore has this whole kind of like story right now, which is they have this week and next week, which can help most everyone get to Thanksgiving. Everyone wants to get to Thanksgiving, right? And also, yesterday it came out saying, oh, Burrow's trying to come back for Thanksgiving. And then today they said, oh, maybe it's just the next week after. So, we've been looking at the map, seeing Baltimore, huge favor against Cincinnati that day. Let's look at it over the season. If Burrow's back, I mean, he must help the line somewhat, right? Like he must help them a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. But I don't know.
And Baltimore had that, that when they lost Lamar, they were like sketchy for a couple of weeks, which people can't put that out of their minds. And I'm just saying, if this line on Thanksgiving is supposed to get a little closer, and because of the Burrow stuff, and Baltimore has these great spots leading into it, I think there's a thing that happens where a certain type of person loves taking Baltimore next week to get them there. Maybe if they announce, oh, Burrow's definitely not out, then people might save. But
the problem is it just makes you like a 3-team parlay essentially, because if you're parlaying, well, I mean, obviously the entire Survivor contest is a 20-game parlay or 8, whatever. But your decision next week, if you're using one of the Thanksgiving teams, it locks in your next 3 or your 2 holiday picks and your next week pick. So if you're going to go Ravens, I would suspect that your plan is to go Eagles on Thanksgiving and then Chiefs on Christmas.
Yes, or Dallas, Washington. Everyone's got one of those. It's kind of weird, like
that has certainly changed, huh? I mean, I think most people would assume that the Cowboys are going to blow out the Commanders at this point.
I don't know. It's not like anyone's stoked about the Cowboys, and everyone kind of has this idea Jaden can be a powerful dude when his bones work.
When's that going to happen? I don't know.
Yeah. I'm not penciling it in or anything.
It's certainly an option, whereas it might not have been. Like people that thought it was going to be a toss-up, I think things are going to change by that point.
Yeah, we got a 2.5 Dallas favor right now. That'll be all these should be updated this afternoon as the week 12 odds start going in. Then we'll have better power ratings. But all the Christmas stuff is interesting, and it's like I guess it doesn't really matter this week, but next week is when the Christmas implications really start kicking in.
Yeah.
But all 3 of those games on Christmas, Minnesota did just beat Detroit. It was fluky, whatever, but they get to host them on Christmas. So everyone has that as a kind of back pocket thing too. It seems like any team that's available on Christmas will get picked. I think, maybe Denver's not available then, but all the other teams will. Anyway.
I mean, if you want to keep talking about this weekend, we can come back to like the big boys that are available. I don't know how you feel. Like what immediately jumps out to me is the Cowboys as being a viable option here.
What about down here? Remember a few months ago, we were talking about taking Washington when they played in Madrid against Miami. And now Miami's the big favorite. Or not big favorite, 2.5 points. But
yeah.
I feel like Dallas and Miami are kind of in that same bucket of like too small of a dog to
mess with.
But like going to think about it every day until then. And if New England loses on Thursday, then those teams definitely start talking to me. If the whole pie's up for grabs and we got 400 more entries knocked out, then yeah. Did you watch that Miami game? You're like a Washington study guy or Miami Buffalo study guy, so you got some hot takes on that game, dude. Is that one going to get me through?
I don't know. I think everyone seems to think like the thing is like, week to week, everybody's like super focused on what happened in the previous week, right? So like Washington loses by 60 to the Lions or something. So people are saying that it's going to be similar to that because you have the Achan is very similar to what's his name on the Lions, and he went bananas, and so this the Dolphins guy is going to also go bananas. So I don't know. I like the Dolphins this week. Redskins are so bad.
The defense looking the worst like ever the last few weeks. Seeing Cincinnati give up all those points a few weeks in a row, I guess they had a bye this week, so we didn't get to do it again. But Washington might have eclipsed them in terms of
badness,
civness, yeah, or whatever. Just letting it all go through.
I think you have to pay attention to the availability at this point. That's the thing that that drew me in the most back when I actually had an entry still alive. And
yeah,
I don't know.
Also,
I like Dallas. That would be my pick this week if I was still in Womp Womp.
Yeah, I hear that. Okay. One thing though about the Green Bay, you using Green Bay early in that spot, or not early, but like you didn't save them all the way. You found the spot to use them, and now they seem like they're getting a little worse than what everyone thought. Like their performance last night isn't going to raise their power rating, I don't believe. So you kind of sold high on them, but then you got scammed by Carolina.
Yeah, I know.
So it didn't work.
And I don't know about you, I don't know, not all 7-point favorites are created equal. And I just feel like, in my mind, sometimes it's easier for me to visualize certain teams upsetting other teams. And the Giants beating the Packers is something that I can envision. Whereas I don't know, it's just difficult for me to see there a couple of weeks ago, when I picked the Bills, it was really difficult for me to see that occurring.
I know what you mean. Hold on, you're saying are you wary of Green Bay playing the Giants this week? Because I am. It's anyone who watches these games and sees Green Bay not do anything every week, right? Like they're supposed to be awesome. And
yeah,
Dart. I mean, is Dart probably playing? They're gonna wheel him out, or this new coach they got, is he gonna bench him the rest of the year?
It's
or is he gonna more quarterback runs? That's what I want to see. I want to see Dart going down their option every play.
They're trading on reputation more than anything else. And I think the Ravens were doing that a little bit too. And, when they were 1-5, I get that Lamar was out, so it wasn't quite the same thing. But I feel like Packers are sort of trading on this as well, where, they're good, quote unquote good. And everybody's betting on them, or, the line reflects that they're good, but are they? I don't know.
I mean, they put a bunch of Survivor entries through the ringer, right? But all season, their power rating has, from the market itself, has been pretty consistent between 4 to 5-ish. And what you're saying, I guess, is true. People, I mean, they put up good numbers, right? They're efficient on some downs.
Well, the problem last night was they were it was a weird turnover at you said you didn't watch the game. This dude absolutely hammered the ball on a punch. The one dude had him wrapped up and was kind of fighting with him a little bit, and the dude targeted. It wasn't even a hook or a underhook. He it was a straight right jab, and he just bam, and he punched it, and it connected so perfectly. And they had the camera on the it was, whose face was it? Whoever fumbled it. I think it must have been Hurts. He just straight punch. It was a straight right punch, and the dude just immediately punched it out. It was wild.
Mortal Kombat pose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might catch up on that game. One game I'm thinking about watching back. I didn't watch Houston Jacksonville at all this week, and Houston's a big deal in Survivor this week.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, we haven't even talked about them.
Yeah, we see the line -7.5. I guess if Stroud comes back, it'll go up. I haven't even read what the situation is there. I just know he was out for concussion, right? And then how long is he going to be out from that? This Davis Mill guy ain't bad, but if he's playing, I might watch that game back. You have any takes or anything? Tennessee off a bye. Tennessee is the worst team, maybe.
Yeah, hard to say who's like. I mean, I don't know. There's some bad teams. So every week it's like, it fluctuates. But like for me, Jets, Raiders are 1-2 in terms of horrible. And then you can't even say Panthers anymore because they're like not that bad. But like bad meaning like it's really hard to envision that team winning. So like the Jets, it's like super hard to envision them winning the game.
Yeah, you see Washington, the power ratings have them down like same as Vegas right now. Again, this is going to update in a few hours, but right now it has Washington in the basement. And I thought Mariota was like kind of doing decent though, right? He can throw. It's just their defense is so bad. He can run.
He's fine. He's just not explosive. They don't have any explosive players. That's one thing I remember. Hearing some of my buddies talk about. It was like, if you pick out any team in the NFL for the most part, like the Dolphins, they have Achane, who's like, really, really dynamic player. Then you pick out whatever, you can go down the list. And like then you come to Commanders and you're like, their most explosive player is like a solid possession wide receiver in Terry McLaurin. So it's like, and they have nobody that's, even worth discussing on defense. That's any good. So it's like they're just like under talented. And so, are they getting the most out of that talent? I don't know, probably not, but like they're just not an exciting team. They don't have any playmakers. Deebo Samuel was supposed to be, he just seems like old.
Right. They just pitch him the ball out to the side, let him run a little bit, but he never
Right. They have like no dynamic play calling. Nothing that's like, those internal screens where the dudes, like where they do the shovel pass to Kelsey or something like that. I'd be doing like hook and laterals or something, spice it up.
Hook and lateral. I've never heard it called that before. Hook and lateral.
You never heard that? A hook and lateral is a play. Like
I know about the hook and ladder. I got knocked out of a heads-up Survivor pool 8 years ago on a hook and ladder, but I never heard it called
hook and ladder. Maybe I'm wrong. Hook and ladder.
It's all right, Mikey. Dude, this Miami pick though against Washington, I'm kind of getting intrigued by this. How is it going to be like Carolina? All the people picking Carolina this past week, where you're like, this team is good. They're definitely going to beat the Saints, and then they just come up and do
I'll
nothing.
say this: Miami would be on my list if I was in the splash pool, and I was double picking. Miami would definitely be on my list.
They get some spots later. They get
the Jets,
Saints, Jets, Bengals. So Miami might be. I mean, some teams, they just get a little bit of motion going. They get one win, and it's like, oh yeah, this team is actually secretly awesome, and no one knew it.
I think when we did an episode, it was like week 4. I remember talking about it. And Miami was like shitty. They were like 0-4 at the time, or whatever the case was. They were towards the bottom of the league, and I remember saying like before the season started, I thought Miami was going to be good, and like and I was like, well, that sucks. And so maybe the read wasn't as bad if they turn things around. Like basically, Miami's a team that's like you can see as being capable of winning. The Jets, the Raiders, they're just incapable to me.
Yeah, but I mean, the Jets did just win. The Raiders.
That's
kept it
true.
very close.
That's true. I say this, and then it's immediately disproven. But
Yeah, people were on both sides of the game. I don't know if you noticed that in Circa, but people picked the
I
Jets
did. I
and the
saw that.
Browns, which that's just cool when it's week 10 and people are trying to survive the max. And there's people on both sides of a single game. I get, on Thanksgiving, it's cool when it happens. There's only a few games, but when there's 14 games to choose from, or whatever, we had 15, I think, maybe 14.
Yeah, especially with like pretty substantial favorites.
Yeah, but it's also cool. We talk about these bad teams and then seeing spots on the map where you start going, oh, maybe I can use a Carolina or a Miami or the Giants hosting Washington in Week 15. We got us 3.5-point favorites right now.
Yeah.
Cleveland, Tennessee, Pittsburgh, Miami, Saints versus Jets. Like, you don't need to save good teams in Survivor. You just need to hope the bad teams play each other, and that's what happens with the NFL schedule, right?
I think I'm still super intrigued by Cowboys. I think that score of that game is like 40-21 or something like that. That's just my vibe.
Yeah, in Vegas, we could go to that. Maybe not. Hey, we got a new feature up. I'm gonna load up my current favorite entry and show it off. I did a walkthrough video yesterday. Anyone who hasn't seen it and is still in the contest, you should check it out. If you just want to know about how that works or whatever. So we got 2 ways of ranking entries now. We got the old style way where we add up all the future spreads, and then the new style way that it's like Brett Ritchie's kind of focus on his content, which, by the way, he should be doing another video today, where you try to measure the win shares a team has each week. To kind of point out why.
Right.
And interesting, a lot of these are pretty close. Like the number 1 overall win shares and number 1 overall future spread value are both the same one. Jet with John.
That would make sense, unless you have like a team that like 1 week is like -17 or something like that.
Well, there's the holidays kind of mess it up, make it funny, and some people
suppose,
think, if you're a -10 and then you're a +10, it looks like a 0 FSV, but in practice that doesn't really happen because like if you're good enough to be up, but Anyway, you can see some of these, like this one is number 8 in FSV and number 23 in FWS, but like whatever, it's all close enough that it's just different ways to look at it. I know people are doing deals, thinking about entries and what's worth what, and just in general, everyone out there thinking that every entry is worth at least 18K. Nope. Most entries are worth less than that.
Yeah.
Like people don't like that, but it's how it works. Like whatever you think your entry is, compare it to Jet with John, who just slammed the Jets last week and had Cleveland a few weeks before. This is the entry that you wish you had. And what is this worth? Maybe double average? I don't think triple. Triple seems too high to me, but I bet there's someone out there willing to pay triple, willing to overpay for triple. Anyway, I was going to type in, this is my brother-in-law's entry. Survivor Strikes Back. We won a few years ago in his Return of Survivor. This is the same, kind of naming convention. Oh, I see the ranks don't persist though, so there's a bug right there. He's not first. That actually looks like a pretty bad entry, right? 290, 480. Gonna have to go a long way down here to see one of those. Anyway, we don't gotta go through all that. Just something to keep an eye on. We'll try to get all the updates for that push before too long. But there's a lot of stuff coming to life on this map, Mikey. I feel like a bunch of cool stuff came out right after you got knocked out.
I know. I don't know. I'm curious to see how the I'm still very interested in the contest. It's intriguing, and I think that if I had to ask you what the percentage of it's easy because there's 1,000 people. So what number of selections do you anticipate being on Houston and New England this week?
Okay, we did put out some projections, and I went 34, 32. These got rounded off somewhere, I get there.
So you're talking 66 or something, somewhere around
Oh,
there.
combined, you meant combined.
Yeah, combined.
Yes. To get there, I start at 100, subtract the other teams that you know are getting picked.
Yeah.
Baltimore, I think, makes sense somewhere between like 8 to 15%. So knock that off.
Even that feels high to me.
Yeah, I hear that, but a third of the field, it's the best available team they have. So what are those people going to do? They're all just going to go down
I think the week to gamble is this week
to get these teams through. Thing is, Houston, you don't really need to keep Houston. They have a good week against Vegas. Week 16 is a tough week. I went on kind of deep on that on the video yesterday, but keeping Houston, why? Like, you're saying that the Dallas Cowboys at 63% to win might be better than the Houston Texans at 76% to win. That's a big difference, man.
I know, that's a lot. This is just me being me. I don't know. This is just a vibe. If I was a betting man, I would be betting on the Dallas Cowboys this week. Again, and that's against the spread. So,
man, this week Houston could like pop off high. We put them less than New England, but just like last week, Carolina found a way to get picked more than Denver.
It's all about availability. I mean, availability one, and then future value two. And so Houston kind of checks both those boxes.
I still don't understand how this happened last week. Denver, the biggest favorite on the board, playing Vegas, and over 130 people saved them out of 560. Obviously, the game was close, whatever, but like just the odds being what they were in Denver's future, that was kind of a crazy low thing to me. And I guess Patriots seem very close to that spot this week where it's just like they're huge favorites. Yes, they have a little bit of future, but like how nice to get through on an 85%er. Point being, maybe New England comes in low, Houston comes in high, and if Houston comes off at like 35, 40%, it's probably like doesn't feel good to be on them, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think if you want to get crazy, Dallas is your play. I think you obviously can't go wrong with the Patriots. I don't know. I think it's easy to say because the spreads are what they are, but I think if I'm feeling spicy, I go Cowboys. If not, I just flick it in on the Patriots.
Just take the number one favorite.
Yeah.
I was trying to. I was talking to Jamie because he was interested in Atlanta right here playing Carolina again, which I know some people are going to be taking. Right, it's very funny game because Atlanta played at Carolina and got smoked, and then right. Atlanta knocked out a third of the field, just doing nothing with the ball a few weeks ago, and just kind of talking with him, I was saying how it's scary and like don't want to take something like that, right? And he told me all the quotes on the website. You know how we got the quotes on all the loading pages on Atlas?
Yeah.
And they're all about like courage and just going for it and stuff like that.
And that's what inspired him?
Yeah, he was like, dude, I've been seeing all these quotes on Atlas. I'm ready to rip it. And it's like, dang, I wonder how many people are feeling that like activation from the quotes.
I might have to, if I still had an entry and, and we had a team like, let's say it's like week 16, I might have you put up quotes that are like listen to the giant within you or something, something to push people towards the giants, and then I'll go opposite.
Yes. Well, funny you mentioned that, because we were talking about it yesterday, because we're definitely going to add a Thanksgiving theme to the website. Last year our loading was like a turkey and we had snow on Christmas and all this. And we're saying like, okay, we're going to do it for Thanksgiving, but in December, what's going to be like the December mood? Like maybe all the quotes should be a very different theme than the courage we've been putting out there. I don't know about team specific ones, Mikey. Maybe you can go back through all our episodes and just write down quotes from you, and then the page can just say like
select those ones.
Like week 3, Mikey says, I'm taking Vegas, or I don't know. I can get you on the quotes, man, is what I'm saying. I can get you in there. I got my own quote in there. I can get you in there too, Mikey.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Okay. We're about to get top of the hour. I guess we just set the table on the way out. There's a big Thursday game this week. Third of the field's going to be on it. Divisional game. Maybe tough decision for some people. Survivor strikes back. Hey, we might be on it. Definitely going to like analyze that and think about this stuff more. Thursday, tailgate. We know the field's thinning out. There's not many humans left. There's only like 800 players left, down from what was it, 5,200? But every decision's more and more high stakes, so it's exciting, and it feels more important to like make sure to leave no stone unturned, right? You got to dig under everything.
Next week we can talk about Grandissimo a little bit, down to 6 people.
Oh yeah, man.
I know it's a bummer that we're not in, but can still talk some ICM or that type of stuff.
That's a good point, man. I've kind of been blocking it out just as a just because I know they're splitting up some of my money, right? It's like
but it's definitely at a point where it's very intriguing.
Yeah. But hey, all those people, man, they got enough money. If they're playing Grandissimo, they can figure that stuff out themselves, I feel like.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, there's no one out there helping Grandissimo people. So I kind of just don't want to analyze it too deep unless we get a sweetheart deal somehow. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
I know we're not analyzing stuff too deeply anyway. We're just kind of hanging and talking about it. But like if I was in Grandissimo right now with these 6 entries left, I would definitely be getting everyone's entry, figuring out what their likely path is, and then simulating to see what the EVs are. And if you don't know how to do that, like it's worth talking to an AI or something. Maybe that can help you get there, because
I always think about when I get into these situations that I would always like my go-to for a long time was Galfond. I would always call him and just be like, hey, can you figure this out?
And hey, now you got Gabe Fond.
Yeah. Or
we have Galfond at home.
GPT Fond.
No, I'm Galfond at home, dude. You know that meme?
Yeah.
It's like we have the okay. Anyway, hey, thanks again for hanging, Mikey. Maybe I'll see you Thursday. If not, next week. Maybe we score a guest next week. Also, before we get out of here, I want to shout out the Meatball Brothers. They were with us on Denver last night, with us cheering against for all the carnies on Sunday. We were right on the same vibe. So if any Meatball Brothers watching this, just shout out to you guys. Wishing you all the best. And good luck, everyone. Hope to see you surviving.
All right. See you Thursday.